don't know if we're in time. I don't care. It's great to see everybody show up today. I really appreciate that you came out here regardless of the resistance that happened. I guess that wasn't a pun on words intentionally, but it definitely turned into one. So physical violence, I think we've all been threatened with that this week. Every speaker has been threatened with that this week.
Yep.
We try to define violence and we think only it's physical, but it's really not just physical, is it? It's verbal as well. Words can hurt, but we often think and we decry ourselves, well, you can say what you want, you can grow a set and deal with it. But that isn't really true. When you threaten somebody's well-being, when you threaten them to the point where they can no longer have a job, you've taken their means. That means that violence has been perpetrated against their wallet. And that's real violence as well. If you lose your food, if you lose your ability to pay your rent, or your mortgage, how is it not violent to throw somebody on the street and ask them for starvation? That's not really the America we want. So words do hurt. I just wanted to be clear about that before we, engage with the rest of the conversation. That violence is physical, but it's also economic. And we'll cover that a little bit more in a second. So, just a quick story about what happened here this week. We had several people lined up. We had 10 speakers, and not just speakers, but people that were going to attend. I have several friends of color. I have several friends that share different religions than the stereotypical white American. I have Muslim friends, and I have some Buddhist friends. Sadly, my Muslim friend was not allowed to make it today. She was initially going to come and have to wear a face wrap because her employer told her if she was seen at this event, she would be fired. That's atrocious that we cannot... it just blows my mind that we would actually tell somebody they can't come to a rally against violence or they will have their means taken from them. Again, that's verbal abuse that is perpetuated against their wallet. It's actual economic harm. Further, we had 3 other speakers who had to decline this event. I don't know if anybody's told you all about those speakers. I won't use their names. You can search them out if you want. But the first one was elected. She's a Green member, a Green Party member, Green Independent. Now, you would think, okay, well, what's the problem with a Green Independent speaking about anti-war and having non-political violence? That seems like somebody we should encourage to come and join us today. And yet she was told by mostly the group over on the Hill that they would not keep her within their ranks if she came today, that they would stand against her and that she would be fired from her job. So again, threatened with violence, taking her means away. Another fella, he had to decline because his employer did the same thing. His employer immediately at first said, well, you can't speak, but you can go. And then said, well, no, if you're caught in the newspaper, because there's a few cameras here, if we see you at the event, you're going to get fired. So that's 2 people who were threatened with violence just for showing up and speaking against violence. It's a mind-blowing, issue that we're clearly having in the United States. It's more than political correctness. It's real violence. It's threats of harm. So that's just a little bit of the story that got us here today, that people were threatened to not come here, and they're not here as a result. So we can't stand here, with a diverse population, because what we're left is with people that didn't mind coming here to either stand against the violence or at least be near enough to see it happen for real. And I heard that there was quite a kerfluffle here that happened a couple of hours ago. I really wish that we had been here a little sooner. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to see that. So I guess the point of the violence conversation goes back to what we're here for, which is political violence, which is a very broad term, right? I can see how that would set some people off, trigger some people. What are you saying, that cops are bad? Are you saying that soldiers are bad? That's not what we're saying at all. To stand against war doesn't mean you stand against soldiers. To stand against bad laws doesn't mean you stand against cops. And this is something that we have a difficulty, especially in the Libertarian Party, because we're trying to reduce the role, scope, and power and overreach of government. So often we hear from public employees and public defenders and other people who serve the public interests that we're trying to dismantle their job, that we're trying to send them home, that we stand against them, and that's not true at all. We want a fair and equitable system for everybody. And that requires personal investment in your future, not a centralized authority governing on you. So I just wanted to be able to clear that up, that political violence does not mean we hate cops and we hate soldiers. Again, it's completely the opposite of the truth. We respect the people who do the jobs. We do not respect what's happening as an institution. And I think we can all understand institutionalism as it affects us adversely. We think of the military-industrial complex. We think of the criminal-industrial complex. We think of all these wars on poverty or drugs or anything else that violates us as people in our self-sovereignty. So violence is physical, but it's also, as we discussed earlier, it's economic as well. So my bend on it, and if you ever catch my writings, again, Richard Light, so you can Google me or whatever, I speak about economic violence because I understand that in our system, the only upward economic mobility we have is through money. We don't have a mutualist system where you and I can trade on a daily basis. I can't get myself a larger home by trading under the system. That's illegal. It just frankly is. I can't grow a potato in my backyard and sell it off my front porch and hope to make a future if I haven't paid the tax man. So I'm already a criminal for doing nothing, but I haven't even left my home in this scenario, and I'm still a criminal. So, political violence is a spectrum, but it includes the money system, and it's mostly the money system to me. So I grew up as a poor Mainer. My suit was probably $20. I shop at Goodwill. You don't have to be rich to try to look good, and people do judge you on how you look. So I have to dress in a suit, or I'm immediately shunned. That's more of our classist issue, and there's more to it than that. So again, if you want to go from the bottom to be middle, you say, well, what does that have to do with economic violence? Or what does that have to do with economic slavery or political violence? And the reality is that you can't go from being poor to middle class in America. It's just not that easy. Little things get you. And the middle class really irks me when they say something like, well, an inspection sticker is only $12.50. Why can't you just get one? Well, the inspection sticker is not $12.50 when I couldn't afford the muffler in the first place, or I can't afford to fix the tires because I have rent to pay and I'm not on top of the system. So the right tells you you're lazy, and the left tells you, don't worry, we'll take care of you. You just stay on the bottom. Neither one of them is trying to lift us. They're definitely not trying to get anything out of the way, and what they're really accomplishing is keeping us kept in that box. And I'm sick of the box. I don't want to be in this box. I don't want to get punished for trying to get to work. And that's exactly what happens when I say, like an inspection sticker. If I parked my car for the winter, my tires are bad, my inspection sticker ran out, I don't have money to get the tires, I'm a criminal if I need to go to work. That shouldn't be how our system works. So, political violence is a spectrum of things, but let's not forget that it's words. Violence is words when you are threatening somebody's means. And violence is money. I'm not an anti-capitalist by any means, that's not the point. But the political system props itself through our money. So a lot of people decry the 1%, that evil 1%, those people with all the money. They can't do anything to you. They have money. What are they going to do? Pay you dead? No. Instead, they're going to utilize the system that's going to keep them propped up. So we talk a lot about the oligarchy. That seems to be a very popular thing with the Bernie hands, the oligarchy, that evil oligarchy. But it's more than the 1%, it's more than the rich. It's that political system that keeps it up there. It keeps it insulated from us. If you have a license to sell something and you hurt somebody, odds are you're not going to go to jail. Your corporation may be disposed. Oh, yay. And then you just start a new corporation. You are insulated by the government that keeps the poor. So when we talk about political violence, I really want to just make sure we understand that it's not just physical violence. It's not just throwing somebody in jail. That's the end result of not having enough money to compete in the middle class. That you're really just being punished for being poor. And we're supposed to be the richest nation in the world. Then why are we punishing our poor? Why are we not allowing a system where the lowest can actually survive? And not just survive, I want to thrive in this nation. There's absolutely no reason that all of us should not be successful, and the only reason we're not successful is because we're poor. Anyway, so government violence and poverty. So I guess my last segment, I'd like to talk about how maybe we can fix it, right? Everybody's just, if you come to a complaint and you make a complaint and you have no solution, you're bitching, right? Isn't that what the term is? You're just aimlessly complaining. So what are the solutions? The solutions are to step up, right? I appreciate all the people that came here today, everybody who came here today. Your greatest control is in your town. If you expect to, elect the next great president who's going to take care of you, you're dead set on hurting yourself. Nobody elects a dictator and expects them to take care of them. That's not the point. So if you decentralize, if you start thinking about what can you do locally, can you feed the poor? Yeah, you can. We do it on Sundays. We go to Portland. There's 8 blocks of people who are homeless and cannot eat in Portland. 8 blocks. How is that a thing? Feed them. Just get the food. Go feed them. You don't have to take out a national debt to go get some cans and go bring them to people. You just don't. So if you step up locally and do it, that's one way to do it. The next is to run for office. Step up in your local town. All of our towns have meetings. My current town, I grew up in Lewiston, but I'm not in Lewiston now. I'm in a small town called Liberty. We have 100 to 200 people out of our 1,000 people, so 10 to 20% of our town shows up, and we discuss what we're going to spend. When we have a $600,000 purchase on a fire truck, then we discuss it, and we say, I don't have that kind of money. So when the person next to me says, well, I've got a few extra bucks, I don't mind spending a few more dollars in my taxes, I can say, well, not all of us have a few extra bucks in our taxes, or to spend in taxes. We don't have that extra money, and they can listen to me because I'm there. But I challenge anybody here, if you've got a problem with something Trump has done, write him an email. Tell me how that goes for you. Feel free to make an appointment. None of us are Olympiads or billionaires. I don't see any of us having an appointment being made. We cannot reach central authority. The higher up the ladder, the less reach and grasp we're going to be able to get to them. But your town selectmen, your town auditors, your town mayor, all those people are accessible. That's the level of control that we should support, and that's also the level of control that we should get ourselves involved in. If you're not helping, then what are you doing? Step up and do it. So that's the government role, if you wanted to step into the government shoes. And if you wanted to do something a little different, it's what we call agorism. This is fighting the system with counter-economics. It's understanding that because of the servitude that we have based on the dollar bill, that we have to be, work slaves, employment slaves. But we don't have to be that way. We can stand for other things. We can grow potatoes in a bucket in our house. That happens. You can feed yourself. Lots of Mainers feed themselves. That automatically drops that corporate necessity for Hannaford or Shaw's or Walmart or any of the big food providers in Maine by just growing your own food. That's one method. You can work for cash. I'm not recommending that you avoid the IRS, but I guess I'm alluding to it. So if you work for a black market, you work for cash, you go do some work for your neighbor, they give you $20 to shovel their driveway. Congratulations, you're working on counter-economics. You're telling the system that I'm not going to pay you, and thus you're not going to use my money to force power and control on me. Just not going to let it happen. There are several ways that you can be an agorist as well. It doesn't just have to be growing your own food, but be creative. Think of things that take you out of the big system and do things for people directly. It's called a mutualist behavior. It's voluntarism. It's stepping up and doing things, trading and being with one another, that knowing that you can reach out to your neighbor and say, hi, my name is, and maybe they'll answer, maybe they'll tell you to get out of their face, like just happened down at the park when I was told to leave. So anyway, we're all Mainers here. I'm going to be here for, whatever willing, quite a few years to come, and I hope that you will also be in Maine with me for quite a few years to come. You are my neighbors. I'm tired of being subservient to Augusta, to this monument of money. There's really no need for it. It pays for all the things that people have spoken about today. It pays for war, it pays for violence, it pays for economic violence, it pays for economic servitude and slavery. Step up, that's all I'm asking. There are a lot of ways to help, but if you don't do it, then it won't happen. If somebody's got to be that somebody, that's all. And if you have any questions on how to get something done, give me an email, send me a message. I meet every single Mainer that has asked me to meet them. Everyone. I do not shun myself from anybody because you might be on some weird political spectrum or because you think I'm ugly. I don't really care. If you want to talk about something real, let's talk about something real like our future or our kids' future. My 5-year-old is 5, and I think the generator tells me that he's about $70,000 in national debt. That's weird. I don't remember him signing a loan. Sure don't. So anyway, we can go on and on. I can just speak in circles about it. But the point is, I'm glad you all stepped out. If you're seeing us from home, get up and do something. That's all you have to do. You don't have to stand in front here. You don't have to get hated on. You don't have to have scandals on every Facebook page in the world telling you how bad a person you are. But you can do something small, and you can change the world by doing that something small yourself, because it's your world that matters. It's the world that's close to you, that's local to you. You are not just a cog in a global machine. You are a real human being. You are individual. And every individual should be recognized as that, as a person that I'm talking to. Thank you, Jim. All right. Thank you for your time. Have a great day, everybody. Woo!